The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly podcast here, isolated, self-quarantine in my house. It is Friday. It is March 20th, 2020. It is technically day 5 of our self-quarantine here in South Florida. This is a very interesting, to the least, situation because none of us, I think most of us have never done something like this, especially as Americans. It's not mandatory yet. I wouldn't be surprised if the state of Florida mandates that we be under quarantine or self-isolation for 2 weeks. I've been in the house a lot. We have been in the house a lot. My wife and I, we both our jobs are at the moment stopped because we both work in the casino industry. We both work in the public, serving industry, especially. I'm a poker dealer. She works with a outsourced company within our company, but because there's no work and there's no business right now because we shut down, it's effective this past Monday, which is actually going to be 2 weeks. It's supposed to be 2 weeks we shut down, but I suspect to be longer than that because our governor DeSantis, who, in my opinion, has done a great job so far with this, with the handling of this, at least in comparison to our president. I'm not trying to be polarizing here. I'm just calling like I see it. Governor DeSantis has done a phenomenal job with information, with calm, with being direct and concise, but no panic. And I have to give him credit for that. Funny, I didn't even vote for the guy, but I've been pretty impressed through the first year and a half of his administration here in Florida. He's been very good, actually. I have to admit that. We've been here. I haven't gone out much. I've done, in the 5 days I've been home, obviously there's been some cabin fever on my end, on my kids' end. I can handle it pretty well for the most part, but look, it is not natural to be in the house all the time. I mean, I have moments where, obviously you take the dog out for a walk, and that helps a little bit, but we've done some drives with the kids. We take the kids out for a drive on one of our favorite spots in Delray and Boynton Beach, on the beach, actually, around the coastline. It's actually pretty cool. Night sightseeing. We go there all the time for clarity, if you will, my wife and I. We take the kids there about 2 or 3 times a week since. Just got out of the house for an hour. It's worked. It's kept the balance in the house because, I'll be honest with you, the situation with our kids and going through, it's not natural. I got a 6-year-old who needs attention, and he's going crazy. My 2-year-old he actually does pretty well, but he has his moments too. So it's not a natural situation. We're typically a little more active than that. We actually sent our 6-year-old to my mother-in-law's house for a few hours yesterday because she needed company. She'd been locked up in her house for a good week also as well. So, it's not a natural situation. Like I said, we're out of work for about 2 weeks, probably a month. We're okay for now on finances. We saved some money up beforehand. I'm actually pretty responsible when it comes to finances for the most part. As you guys know, since last year, I've been saying this on my podcast. Over the course of the last about a year now, that I've embraced a more minimalist lifestyle. I've been more focused on saving money, putting money away, being more responsible, clearing debts, the little debts I've left. That's helped. And so we're not, obviously is there concern going forward? Of course there's concern going forward. But right now we're okay. We have food stocked up in our fridge. We have, our lights are on, obviously. We're able to for the most part, pretty much live a normal lifestyle, does not be able to work. Obviously, as we get, a few weeks into the situation, we'll have to reassess where we're at again. Hopefully we get some help. From the government, be able to, because our job, because the nature of my job especially too, it's not, they're not required to pay us. They give us a base pay, but it's not all that great, because of what the industry I work in. My wife's company, fortunately, has been very, very positive about and very supportive. So we're doing okay. We're actually okay. I'm blessed. We've called utility companies, to see where we're at. We called because obviously if this goes, say 2 months or 3 months, we're probably gonna need some leniency in terms of certain bills. We don't want to lose our lights. We don't want to lose certain things. So we want to make sure that we're able to still operate as a family. But by also paying some bills and be able to still have food on the table. But right now we're good. We're actually good for a little bit. So I can't complain. I'm hoping for the best of the situation, and we can move forward. This podcast, I've been trying to do a podcast all week long. I had to cancel 2 podcasts this week. It's just crazy because I thought, well, maybe home now and I can, do more time to record. But the one negative of this whole situation is the fact that, especially with my 2-year-old, his sleep schedule's gotten screwed up. He's been up later. He's been getting up in the middle of the night multiple times. I had a podcast scheduled with our friend of the pod, Kyle Nash, doing the game on Tuesday to react to some of the free agency stuff in the NFL. And he knows obviously everything is all based upon my son. But my kid did not go to sleep till close to midnight. And I was going to ask him to do a podcast at midnight, but I had other pods, I want to do this one, obviously a solo one. I want to do one with a couple of friends, and that fell through because of the schedules. So, that's the one thing I thought I could have at least to balance out my, being stuck in the house for 2 weeks or more. Is okay. I can still podcast a little bit. I can still call some of my friends and just talk. If you notice on the feed, I've been adding some older episodes from the vault. There's one I found with my wife and then a colleague, Jabari Davis, basketball blogger and podcaster, that we did a podcast back in February of 2016, which is pretty evergreen too, because we're talking about the TV and movie, mainly TV landscape of 2016, and so it felt apropos to put it out because it's actually evergreen enough. So I put it out there. It was a good episode actually too. I remember as I put it out there, it's like, wow, this is actually a good episode. I put up a 2-minute one I did with my son, my oldest son, should I say, back in 2016 also, when he was 3 years old, talking Star Wars. It was actually his first podcast he recorded from the old Unfiltered podcast, which, by the way, I took down the feed officially for Unfiltered. We'll probably still do Unfiltered shows on video moving forward, but we'll probably, if we do audio with it, we're going to do it on this feed instead. Just kind of streamline things again. There's no point of having it up. For now, the Take 3 podcast, wrestling podcast I do with my buddies Mike and Joe, that will still go on as planned every week, as long as we can. We're planning on doing the show on Sunday. A lot of stuff going on too in the wrestling world as well. Wrestlemania is still going on. It will be a 2-day event. It's also going to be rumored to be in different locations. I think one, obviously, the Performance Center where they've been doing Raw and SmackDown last week or so. They're going to do, obviously, Mania there, and then other locations, apparently. That's the rumor right now. Rob Gronkowski, now retired tight end of the Patriots, who was recently signed with the company, is now going to be the host. And, I mean, look, there's a lot of people who think that what WWE is doing is not really fair to the wrestlers or fair to everybody else. But you gotta give them credit, man. There's no sports going on now. At least to have that to watch. It's been strange to watch from watching the no crowds and doing Raw and doing SmackDown and having no crowds there. It's a little strange, but makes you appreciate what these characters go through and how much the work they put in. It's really a stripped down version of what they probably were or what they went through. Training in in territories before they got called up to the big leagues. So it's really, I don't mind it necessarily. I don't think it'll be done long. I don't think it'll be a long term thing, obviously. But it's been strange to watch, to say the least. So we'll see how they affect the WrestleMania news, how that affects what they're gonna do. Look, there's still time to move it, but as of right now, they're gonna continue doing the show. 2-day event. And there's nothing going on, really, to be honest with you. So, whatever. I don't have a strong opinion on it necessarily, to be honest with you. So, events to be events, and that's it. I will say though, AEW did their show on Wednesday, the Wednesday night show, Dynamite, for the same situation, no crowd, but they did the best. I mean, I'm not trying to compare who's a better company. Obviously, I'm a big AEW guy, but what they did, how they did their show on Wednesday, with pyro still, it was like watching a regular show. They actually had the wrestlers on the rosters who were available out in the crowds. You had MJF taking bets, which was really, really cool, very creative. Him and Sean Spears. You had a couple of, the heels and the faces and all that. It was really good, and it really felt like when you're watching the show, like the crowd wasn't there, but you really didn't. By the time you were like an hour into the show, you didn't realize that the crowd was gone. It didn't matter. It was a really good wrestling show, and I enjoyed it. I thought they did a really, really good job with that. So I'm really proud of what AEW did on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll see what happens with SmackDown tonight, as I'm recording tonight on Friday. See if they kind of copy the same situation, because it's funny, AEW did an entire wrestling show for 2 hours without having to use a highlights package. Like Raw this past Monday, for example, they put the entire Men's Royal Rumble, which is about an hour, to fill up 3 hours of time on the telecast. AEW didn't do that. Now, obviously, why did Raw decide to go that route? I don't know. I know it was availability or space wise. I don't know what it was, but they just did it, and whatever. So there's that. But they've done a good job. AEW did a good job on Wednesday. I just don't know if they'll continue doing the show, because if they continue the show live every week. I already said, I think WWE's already doing this now. I think there's been rumors on social media that they're already looking to possibly do tape shows moving forward in the event this thing gets worse and they need to shut down completely. Because if Florida decided to shut down, like California and New York, everything, I mean, what's it going to do? So you're better off just doing tape shows and just put it out to the public. I mean, there's history for that. Like, it won't be the first time you've done shit. First time doing a tape show. It's not breaking ground. So breaking ground. While I've been on my hiatus, isolation rather, I did manage to, and just stick on wrestling real quick. I did manage to watch the Broken Skull Sessions, the Stone Cold Steve Austin sit down interviews. He did one with obviously Undertaker. He's done one with Goldberg. He's done one with the Big Show. He did one this week with Bret Hart. This was by far the best one he's done. Bret Hart, the Hitman. I mean, obviously his history. Very transparent, always honest. I always thought he took himself way too serious, but again, he also came out as professional and cared and probably still does care a great deal about the business. And I don't know, I really enjoyed the interview. I thought it was really, really, really honest and cool. Obviously, their angle, they just discussed their angle at WrestleMania 13, that 6 month angle from Survivor Series 96 to WrestleMania, and how they actually broke down the match. Because the submission match they did in WrestleMania 13 is one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time. I mean, just the story, the psychology, the storyline, everything, the whole nine, the change in the business at the time too. 1997, a great year. Bret Hart wasn't really known as a guy who could do promos at a high level, but that year, I don't know what happened. He either came out of a shell or whatnot, and he obviously changed from a baby face to a heel pretty much at that event. So it was really, really good. Stone Cold Steve Austin is actually a really natural interviewer, and his podcast, I just do it on a weekly basis, is a big clue to that. And here too, he sits down, he gets the best out of his content out of his subjects. This one was by far the best one because Bret Hart's open to everything. We didn't learn anything new about the HBK rivalry. Everything we've heard in the past about him and Shawn Michaels, in terms of the situations in the past where they didn't get along for a little while, and a couple of things, the Montreal screw job, everything was surrounding that. Nothing new that we didn't learn that he hasn't said in the past 20 years, and Shawn Michaels rather. So nothing new there. The only big thing you really learned in this conversation was the discussion about Goldberg and how he ended his career. That was kind of fascinating. You remember Bret Hart suffered a concussion in a match against Goldberg in late '99 in WCW. He called him unprofessional. And he admitted that other wrestlers such as Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, always get hurt while working with him with Goldberg, and he was pretty honest about that. Pretty pissed about it. Yeah, it was a really good sit down. If you're a wrestling fan, of course, I check it out on the network. A lot of things you have time on your hands. I had time on my hands to actually sit and watch everything. So I really enjoyed that sit down. And yeah, Bret Hart's a very honest guy. Bret Hart's very honest to a fault. There's a lot of shoot interviews of Bret Hart also on the internet. You can see on YouTube. He's pretty honest with that kind of stuff. About anything. I spoke about on the wrestling podcast, Tech Me podcast, last week about how when the news dumps were talking about was the fact that Bret Hart was doing an IG, Instagram live post last week, and somebody asked him about Hulk Hogan and his stuff to Hulk Hogan, and he basically straight up said no, he's a phony piece of shit. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Hogan didn't want to put him over in 1993 when Hogan was leaving. A lot of bitterness there. Bret Hart was always bitter. He admitted he was bitter for a long time after WWE screwed him after Montreal. He actually had a lot of health issues as a result of that, and he let go of that after a while in the mid-2000s. So I'm glad him and Vince and Shawn and all those guys have patched things up. So NFL free agency, obviously when you don't have nothing to do, man, every little thing's a big deal. Tom Brady is no longer a Patriot. He's now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Officially today, especially, signed a contract, 2 years, $50 million. I'm shocked. Again, I said if Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, it'll be a hindsight thing. I wouldn't believe it until I see it. The stories behind that, this has been years in the making. All the rumors we heard 3 years ago about, that, especially that big Seth Rickenstein article that came out in late 2017 about the Patriots and the infighting, the quote unquote infighting between Belichick and Brady. And at the time it was dealing with who to keep, Brady or Garoppolo, and Robert Kraft forced his hand and said no, we're going to keep Brady, and obviously it worked out. It was the best decision they made because they won 2 more Super Bowls out of it, or 1 more Super Bowl out of it rather, 2 Super Bowl appearances. They were still really, really great, but time to move on, I guess. It's weird. It's gonna be weird seeing Brady in the NFC, seeing Brady on another jersey, 20 years in one place. I got into a bit of a discussion with my family. We have a group text together, and I said that he had a down year last year, but you give him this Tampa team already has offensive weapons, the yin yang. I mean, they have weapons. O.J. Howard, who's in my opinion, a top 5 tight end in the league. Mike Evans, top 5, 6, 7 receiver in the league. Plus he's big. A lot of weapons there on that team. I mean, in comparison to what we had last year in New England, especially toward the end of the year. I mean, I was saying that if this team won 7-9 last year with Jameis Winston's quarterback, who was by far the most inconsistent quarterback in the history of the NFL for 1 year, by virtually leading the league in touchdowns and interceptions last year. You don't think Tom Brady, even at age 43, can get at least 2 more wins out of this roster? Think about the Bucs. Think about it for a second. The Bucs were 7-9 last year. So you mean tell me Tom Brady can get you to 9-7 next season, at least bottom? And also when you consider the fact that next year is going to be the first year they do the extra playoff spot, the 7 teams per conference. Tampa's in the conversation as a playoff team. I think Brady will have a lot to prove. I think Brady's going to want to prove that he's still great, especially to the Patriots. So at least for 1 year, you can see him having the revenge thing. And you know how Brady is when he's focused. When Tom Brady's focused and wants even if in his 40s, He'll have his moments. But the thing about Tom Brady here, and this is why I think it'll work out in Tampa at least for 1 year, is that he doesn't have to be elite to win here, because he has the weapons necessary to, not have to every play have to be top of his game. Whereas in New England, it was different. It was a smaller margin of error. In Tampa, I would say at least on that side of the ball, it's a little bit bigger. Again, if Jameis Winston gets you 79 last year, as inconsistent as he was, Tom Brady ain't gonna give him the ball. Tom Brady is gonna be, and the only thing too, people say, well, on the Belichick thing and the coaching staff in New England, yeah, that's true, but Tom Brady is also very coachable. Tom Brady is a very coachable guy. I don't see him going rogue and saying, giving the finger to Bruce Arians and saying, I got this. No, I think he'll still be coachable. Tom Brady is a team guy. And that's one reason why I admired him so much. So look forward to seeing Brady in Tampa. Other transactions in the NFL, big ones. Philip Rivers going to Indianapolis. I think I can see Rivers having one big year next year and then fall off the cliff because he's so inconsistent. Nick Foles traded to Chicago. At the very least, that's some fire up under Mitch Trubisky's ass. Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, obviously 2 years ago with the Eagles. We'll see what happens there. You got Teddy Bridgewater going to Carolina. Obviously with that means Cam Newton will, obviously he also got granted his trade request. So Cam Newton will be elsewhere next year, assuming he does play next year. I think he will. DeAndre Hopkins also traded to Arizona for David Johnson. That one didn't make any sense to me. Not so much the trade, because I understand what the Texans are doing there. They obviously got to pay Watson next year. You got to pay Tunsil next year. But it's the package I got back for him. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is arguably the best receiver in football. Arguably, I mean, top three certainly. And you get back not for a guy of his caliber, and a guy who also is not a problem off the field too. I don't know. Bill O'Brien, obviously, you really have questions of the head coach. He's, in my opinion, mediocre coach at best. As a GM, promoted to GM recently, I don't know. So yeah, that's some of the big moves this week in the NFL. Big notable transactions. I was hoping to do an NFL podcast. I may, if I get a couple minutes with Kyle sometime this week, I'll probably try to get him on here and talk about it. So. Yeah, I think it's about 20 minutes into this show, right? Is that good? Yeah, I got 22 minutes in this podcast. That's me enough, right? I'm back. I'm still in isolation. My kid's still asleep. My other two, my wife and my oldest is downstairs. So I got a couple minutes here to check in. Glad I did. We'll try to do a couple more of these more often than I can. Solos and discussions and whatnot. And Joe Biden, of course, is well on his way to becoming the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. Destroyed Bernie in Florida, destroyed him in Illinois. No surprise there at this point. We'll probably get more political talk with Mark Francois down the road and other friends of mine who may or may not agree with what's going on, but whatever. That's enough for me. We'll talk soon. Stay safe, of course. Do not go out if you don't need to go out. Don't spread this shit. Hopefully sooner rather than later we get back to normal. I'm sure looking forward to it. I mean, don't be wrong. And I said this at the start of the week, that even though I can survive and being a hermit in my house, obviously. And even though I'm missing work to some degree, and there's obviously some negatives to it, this has allowed me to slow things down. And you guys know about my schedule with my wife and I. We don't have a day off together, so we always on the go with the kids and schools and work and all that. This has forced us to kind of slow down and kind of take stock in what's going on in our lives. And being able to do some spring cleaning, being able to clean my garage, being able to, just get things done, clean up, do all laundry, being able to spend time with my kids, spend time reconnect with my wife. So it's allowed us to actually slow things down and appreciate the small things. Hopefully we get to normal sooner rather than later. We still got bills to pay, bills don't stop. So, till then, we'll check in probably next couple of days with this. All right. Stay safe. God bless you guys. I love you all. And, take it easy.